Greetings, Moody students. You're entering into week 3 of Second Temple Jewish Backgrounds today. Below is the information. You've got the devotional building on last week's Genesis 12 passage, moving forward to a crucial passage that occurs in Abraham's life later, one you're probably very familiar with, namely the offering of Isaac. So take some time to read through that. I think you'll find it encouraging and beneficial. You've got your lesson 3 information. We're moving into the rise of Judaism 1. This has to do with the synagogue and religious sects. Our objectives are 3. We want you to demonstrate a familiarity with the historical and cultural influence of the synagogue and religious sects within Second Temple Judaism and the Greco-Roman world. Then you should be able to identify how the ancient context of first century Jewish synagogues and religious sects enriches New Testament studies. Identify as well the historical literature of Second Temple Judaism. By the way, I've been to Israel a number of times, and I'm scheduled, as you know, to go back in the fall. But I've actually seen the synagogue at Capernaum, and the earlier foundation of that synagogue is still there. Probably this foundation of the synagogue that Jesus would have visited when he lived in the area of Capernaum. Your required reading is there. I'm not going to read down through that. You can do that for yourselves, but be sure to work your way through that this week as early in the week as you can, as well as your scripture reading. You've then got 2 quizzes. You've got a synagogue quiz, and then you've got a writing and literature quiz. So be sure to complete each of those before the week's up. And then you've got your ancient literature activity material to work through. Let me encourage you. I've been through all your personal introductions, as you know by now, and we do have a really great group. I have to tell you, I teach at multiple schools, and I'm always impressed with the Moody students. They always seem to be a cut above. That's not just froth and foam coming from me. That's my real perspective. But do check occasionally, as a couple folks are looking a little lonely there. And you need to interact, get to know one another through the community posts as well, and build some lifelong friendships through your time here at Moody, even online. You're not together in the classroom per se. It's all electronic. Take time to get acquainted with one another. Just a word or so on the discussion boards as well. I want to mention that because students often struggle with these. But be sure that you follow the instructions for the discussion board. Be sure you look over the grading rubric and comply with that in completing your discussion boards. Remember those 3 items that I ask you to include in your response to peers. Number 1, some encouraging compliments if there's something they've said that was really well stated, or a particular insight they brought to your understanding of the issue. Then secondly, you want to include a kind critique. Take one another to task. If there's something you disagree with, but do it obviously in a kind way. But don't be afraid to question one another. This is structured to be a discussion board. So, do just that. Goad one another if you would, and encourage one another, and take issue, if necessary, with items that one another said. And then thirdly, be sure to cap off your discussion boards with a good, open-ended, relevant question, a question that your peer can't just say yes or no to, but they've got to provide a little bit of substantive explanation in reply to your question. Well, you've got 3 more discussion boards coming up. There's not one this week, but in week 4, week 5, and week 8, I believe I saw there were discussion boards. So I just wanted to prep you on that. Well, that's it for this week's announcement. Nothing lengthy. I trust you're enjoying your studies.